Hi there, this is Ruben from Dutch Round 1. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching another episode of Dutch Round 1. What are we going to do today? Well, today we will speak about the articles in Dutch. We will speak about de and we will speak about het. I know this is a very confusing theme for many people who are learning Dutch, so I'm going to try to make your life as easy as possible, and the explanations will be as straightforward as possible. So what are we going to do? Well, we look at certain occasions when we're going to use de and other occasions when we are going to use het. But before we do that, you know the drill. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content, and let me know in the comments what you're struggling with in Dutch so I can make movies about it and make your language learning process easier. But without further ado, let's go straight for the articles. Okay, so before we see these different themes, different occasions when we use de and het, I just want you to explain the difference between het and de. De and het, we call them definite articles. So it's the equivalent of the in English. So de is used for words which are masculine and feminine in the Dutch language, and het is used for words which are neutral. At the beginning of the video, I do have a little bit of bad news for you, because most of the words in Dutch, it's pretty random when we use de and when we use het. I mean, Dutch natives such as me, we basically grow up with it and we know whether to use de or het, although some of us, even native people, sometimes struggle when to use het and de in front of a noun. However, there are some rules, not for all the words, but let's say for 20-25% of the words. And if you follow these rules, then you'll be able to know whether you use de or het. Do not despair, and if I can give you a little hint on how to learn Dutch vocabulary, try to learn the word with the article de, or try to learn the word with the article het, and then it will be a little bit easier later when you start speaking. However, if you make mistakes using the articles, it's not the end of the world. If you pronounce the noun correctly, if you use it correctly, we will understand what you're saying, and with time, when your Dutch will get better, you will make less mistakes. Alright, so let's go to the first example. So the plural. First of all, this rule is always correct, so there's no exceptions. So what article do we use for the plural in Dutch? Okay, you've got singular, that's like one thing or one person, and then you've got plural, that's several things or several persons, right? So every time you want to use a definite article in the plural, you will use de. The cats, de katten. The dogs, de honden. The chairs, de stoelen. The tables, de tafels. The shoes, de schoenen. So every time you put something in the plural and you want to use a definite article, it will be de. No exceptions. All right? So we go to the next one, diminutives. Now, what is a diminutive? A diminutive is basically when you have, for instance, the word cat and you want to make it smaller. So you want to say a small cat. Now, how do we do that in Dutch? Well, we'll basically add je or tje or pje or utje. So this will basically be a diminutive in Dutch. Now, every time you want to use a definite article in front of a diminutive, you will use het. As you can see in the examples, you have het kindje, the small child, het bloempje, the small flower, het stokje, the small stick, het jongetje, the small boy, het katje, the small cat, and het hondje, the small dog. So every time you have a diminutive, it's pretty straightforward. You will use the article het. Now, then we come back to a rule where we are going to use de. Then we'll speak about professions or reference to persons. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, every time you want to use a definite article for a profession, you will use de. As you can see in the examples, de bakker, the baker, de slager, the butcher, the agent, the police officer, the advocaat, the lawyer or barrister, the leraar, teacher, the verkoper, the salesman, the chauffeur, the driver, the metser, the mason, or the bricklayer, the toeschouwer, the spectator, the voetganger, pedestrian, and the fietser is the cyclist. Now, as you can see, in the beginning of the examples, you see professions, and then if you go to the end of the examples, you will see words which make reference to persons. So in that case, you will use de. So there we continue, and then I want to speak about rivers and mountains. Now, this is a rule which is most of the time. So this is a general indication, but it's not watertight. So do remember that. But in general, we can say that mountains and rivers, if you want to put a definite article in front of them, you will use the. As for instance, the Kilimanjaro mountain, the Rijn, the Schelde, the Mont Blanc, the Mount Everest, the Nile, the Amazone, the Dender, the Aconcagua. So you can see these are mountain or river names, so you will use the article the. Now we continue and we'll speak about fruit and vegetables. Now this is again a general indication. It is not a watertight. So what article do we use for fruit and vegetables in Dutch? Most of the time you want to use a definite article for fruit or vegetables, you will use de. As for instance, de tomaat, de tomato, de sinaasappel, the orange, the ananas, the pineapple, the salade, the salad, the prei, the leek, the kiwi, the mango, but be careful, for instance, het witlof, which is the chicory, is with the article het. So this rule is a general indication, but it's not watertight. However, it can help you if you're in doubt. Okay, so now I want to speak about trees and plants. What article do we use for trees and plants in Dutch? Well, it will be de. Again, most of the time, general indication, not watertight, but pretty decent though. So the eik, the oak, the appelboom, the apple tree, the buk, the birch, the kastanjeboom, the chestnut tree, the tulp, the tulip, the rose, the varen, the fern. However, het gras, het mos, and het riet. So the grass, the moss, and the reed. So again, it's a general indication, but it's not really watertight. Right? And then basically this one is not as straightforward, but I try to make it as clear as I could. Words ending in the following letters. Words are ending on ing, such as de living, de woning, de verandering. Words ending in heid, mensheid, overheid, humanity, government. Words ending in nes, geschiedenis, gevangenis, history and prison. Words ending in st, ontvangst, angst and post. So receival, fear and post. Words ending on de, vrede, rede and aarde. So peace, reason and earth. Words ending in te, so de dikte, lengte and grootte. The thickness, the length and the height. Then words ending in ie, radiologie, biologie, administratie, radiology, biology, administration. Words ending on iek, symboliek, tragiek and mimic, so symbolism, tragic and mimics. And then words which are ending in schap, so wetenschap, broederschap, so science, brotherhood. However, this one is not as watertight as I want it to be, because motherhood, moederschap, fellowship and parenthood or with het. So moederschap, gezelschap and ouderschap or with het. And then words ending on tijd, kwaliteit, universiteit, quality, university will also be with de. I know these ones are not as straightforward. Please, don't try to learn them by heart, but use them as an indication in order to help you find the correct article. Okay, and then we are going to the article het. So languages and materials will be used with the article het. Again, most of the time, it's a general indication. So for instance, het Spaans, the Spanish language, het Nederlands, the Dutch language, het Vlaams, the Flemish language, het hout, material, the wood, het ijzer, the iron, het goud, the gold, and het silver is the silver. Okay, and then we continue, and then we're speaking about wind directions. Wind directions, north, south, west, east, will always be with het. Het oosten, the east, het westen, the west, het noorden, the north, het zuiden, the south. Sports and games, same thing, we will use the article het. Again, most of the times, exceptions exist. So for instance, het voetbal, het volleybal, and het basketball, the football or soccer for American people. Het volleyball, the volleyball, and het basketball. Basketball will be with het. Also a game such as poker, you will say het poker. But be careful, de atletiek, athletics is de atletiek, so that's the article de. Also yoga, you won't say het yoga, but you will say de yoga. So exceptions exist, however, general indication, sports and games will be with het. And then we have the following, an infinitive becoming a noun. Okay, this one is not really sounding as straightforward as possible. So what is an infinitive becoming a noun? Well, an infinitive is a verb in the purest form. So for instance, lopen, to walk, lopen, wandelen, can also be to walk, zoeken, to search. These are infinitives. But sometimes even in English, and you do the same in Dutch, you will say the running, the walking, for instance, het bakken, the baking of a cake, het fietsen, the cycling, het varen, the navigating on water then. So basically, when you turn an infinitive into a noun, and you want to use an indefinite article, then you will need to use the article het. Okay, and then we have words ending in, also for het, again, as an indication. Please don't learn that by heart. I think there's more interesting to learn things to learn by heart in Dutch. However, use them as an indication. So words which are ending on isme, ment, or for instance, boeddhisme, socialisme, kapitalisme, you will say the article het. Ment, klassement, monument, instrument, you will use the article het. And then you have museum, podium, stadium, you will also use the article het most of the time. Again, general indication, not a watertight rule. Okay, so that was basically the grammar lesson on when to use de, when to use het. I know it's confusing, I know it's difficult, and I know these rules are probably only for 20% of the total vocabulary we have in the Dutch language, but I hope it helped you out. I hope it made your language learning process easier. Just keep pushing, I'm sure you'll get there. As for me, I want to thank you for watching. I thank you for the support. I thank you for taking the time for watching these episodes. Remember to give it a like. Remember to subscribe to the channel, or let me know in the comments what you think, so I can make videos and make your Dutch language learning process easier. And as for me, thanks again. As always, keep it 100 and stay tuned for another episode of Dutch Round 1.